Okay, we're going to kick off. We might have a few people join us as we get going, but we'll start. I think that's the right and proper thing to do. So first of all, good afternoon. My name's Liam, and I'm joined with my colleague Darren Neary. We both work in the new business team here at Technology Management, and Darren specialises in the food sector. So thank you for joining. We have got a presentation which has a few slides. Darren's going to run through some of the areas that we believe affect some of the food industry, and the way we believe that IT and the systems that we're going to show you today can improve and help you as organisations. And as the webinar is entitled, that a lot of organisations that we meet, we believe their business software really isn't fit for purpose anymore and has passed its sell-by date. So we're going to run through a few bits and pieces and end up with a little bit of a wrap-up around us as a partner as well, but that's probably five minutes right at the end. We're really focused on the solution and the software we've got to show. So, as you said, why are we on the webinar? Darren's going to cover that in a moment, but I think it's fair to say the majority of people don't wake up in the morning and decide to go and buy some new ERP software. There is normally a trigger point that has brought people onto this webinar or made people go and take a look at what options are available to them in the market. And Darren's going to cover some of the reasons that will be, but we'll look at that, because I think for us as a partner that tries to solve these problems, understanding where you feel the pain points are within your business are what we want to get to the root cause of, and then we can start to address that with the solution that we provide. And Darren's going to run through the software for you. And we are a Microsoft partner, and we'll touch on that at the end, but where we work with Microsoft is this area, a phrase that you've no doubt all heard around digital transformation. It's not a phrase I like particularly because it's very open-ended, and what does that actually mean? It's quite a fluffy phrase. So what we've tried to do is narrow that down into 4 pillars or 4 particular areas where we start a project we'll try and address with companies. And the first point is, how do you engage with customers? Obviously, that's the lifeblood for all of us, working with our customers. So that engagement is crucial. So we're going to look about how technology potentially can help with improving our engagement. Then, which is slightly more difficult at the demo, is to talk about how you can transform your products or your services that you provide to those customers. But more importantly, one of the areas we'll probably focus on today are how technology helps within your business to empower your employees, your team, your colleagues to make better decisions at the right time. We're going to show you with the software how we believe this is geared up to do that, and then again how the software can help optimize operations. So how technology in those 4 key areas can improve engagement with our customers, how we transform our business with our products and services, getting that information to the people in the business, and then we optimize the operations. I think the core of that is this idea of having reliable and trustworthy data, and Darren will touch on that. Without that, we struggle with any of those options because we just don't trust what we see on the screen. And when we walk into customers, that typically is a place we often start. They do not trust the data they've got there. So as a brief introduction, that's it from me. I'm going to hand over to Darren, who's really going to start dealing with the issues and then delve into the product. Darren.
Thanks very much. So again, touching on why Liam says, why are we here? What brought us all to this webinar? The fact that you're on this webinar tends to indicate that you have some of the problems I'm going to identify today or go through today. I do a lot of visits to different customers all around the UK, and they all seem to have very similar problems. One of the most common ones is Excel. A lot of system data is actually done in Excel off the ERP, and these little nodes of information. And one of the things they do, they get very, very complex. And what happens if your Excel breaks? What happens if it won't load one day? All that information that's in Excel can be a very, very dangerous place to store it. And these Excel have generally grown up over years and years, and the people that actually originally did them have left the business, have moved on. So maintaining these Excels is almost like a balancing act for the business. It's very high risk for a business these days. Other companies have grown up with disparate systems over the years. These systems tend to be integrated together, so they'll choose all these different systems and integrate them together. And over a number of years, these integration pieces become very, very complex. And again, when you've got multiple different disparate systems, it becomes difficult to say which version of the truth is the version of truth that is the truth, if you understand that at all. So getting a single version of truth out of the system is really important. And what I'll show you in a little bit later is how one version one software package can incorporate all these disparate systems as you go through. Another thing is if a customer says to you, you must transact with us via EDI, you pretty much have no choice other than to do that. So what companies will do, they will adopt EDI as quickly as possible, which generally means working with a third-party EDI provider that puts a PC in the corner of the room, an EDI message will come through, and someone will print it out, walk over to their back-end systems and type it into the new system. Obviously, this is very, very inefficient. It doesn't give you any integration between the lot. And the same comes from when you're actually then doing your orders. You have to then print your invoice out. You can't really do ASNs very easily. So the whole picture of EDI becomes a very, very difficult system to handle. And it's all off system, so very, very labour intensive. Another one, working with 3PLs. 3PL have become more and more popular over the last few years, where the cost of actually keeping your own vehicles is very difficult and very costly. So working with 3PLs is another thing that happens very commonly these days. And typically the way people work with 3PLs is, again, via email, via off-system practices, and getting visibility of what's in your 3PL location can be really, really tough. The amount of sites I've gone to where someone says, we've had another load of stock that's gone out of date at the 3PL because we didn't know it was short life before we got it shipped. So again, getting control and visibility of what's going on at your 3PLs is also a real key one for you. And this is one of my favourites here. When I say to customers, well, how do you know what's in your warehouse? How do you know what stock you have? And generally what they do, they point to their foreheads or their temples and say, it's all in here. Now, I don't know about you lot, but me, I'm not the Rain Man. I haven't got an eidetic memory or anything like that. So relying on what's in people's head can be very, very dangerous for a business. You never know what's going to happen to people these days. One day they may be at work, the next day they've gone, and all that information that's in their heads is critical for your business. So it's really important to have systems that take that information out of your head and put it into a system where everyone can access it at any time. So again, back to where we were talking about why we're here on this presentation. So what I'm going to talk to you about now is how we can address some of these issues. So if any of the few items I've gone through there struck a chord, you're in the right place. And what we're going to do is just show you how those can actually be addressed by Dynamics Food. So just before we go into that, a little bit of a scene set here. So Technology Management specialise in the food industry for manufacturers and distributors. So we have two solutions that we use for our different customers. One is standard Microsoft Dynamics NAV, or Business Central as it's now called, with a few modifications or a few extensions for the likes of EDI or transport management, etc. The other is an off-the-shelf full package specifically grown for the food industry. And that is on the right-hand side on that circle you can see on screen at the moment. In the centre there in the blue things, that's what standard Dynamics Nav comes with. So you've got manufacturing, distribution, financial, sales, marketing, etc. And all the information in the green areas around the outside, such as EDI, e-commerce, etc., are all the extra functionality that is encompassed within the foodware product. Okay, so obviously with a presentation that's only going to last 45 minutes to an hour, we haven't got time to go into all of those areas. But what I will do is go into a few of the key ones and show you a little bit about how the solution is handled inside Nav. So starting really with EDI. So EDI is probably the most common one we come across these days. And having an integrated EDI into your system, into your back-end system, directly from your customers is really key. So Technology Management have built an EDI platform that works with over 100 different providers that basically will take orders, invoices, etc. directly in and out of your system without the need for having people key the information in and type it into back-end systems. And what we do there, basically, we take your business and we communicate directly with the EDI provider, and the first thing you know about that you've got EDI working is we say, can you test that interface for us? So typically this is how people work at the moment. You have your business, you print it out, you key it in, you read it, you key it in, or you have bespoke email integration to it. You have a bit of software in the background called a van that communicates that message back to your suppliers and your customers. With Technology Management, we take away all that pain, and communicate via the technology management platform directly to your suppliers and your customers. Main benefits of that is compliance, speed of transaction, the accuracy, a much lower cost, and also gives you the competitive advantage that you can work with pretty much anyone in the industry these days. To give an example of some of the companies that we support in the food industry, quite a few on screen now. So all the way from the likes of Tesco to Blakemore, Sainsbury's, etc. Okay, some of the message types that we provide are simple orders, invoices, but we also provide the ability to do ASNs. Typically with Tesco's, we can do price lists, etc. So lots of functionality that can be implemented into your EDI messages. So that's enough of the PowerPoints now. I've just got one little slide now just to give you a bit of background to what I'm going to show. So I'm going to cover now in the actual system the following items. So I'm going to give you a bit of an overview of catch weight. I'm going to talk a little bit about traceability and how important it is. I'm going to show you how quality control is built within the system. Talk a little bit then about pricing, promotions, the functionality around that, rebates, etc. I'm going to show you a little bit about NPD. And then if we get time, I'll show you a little bit about e-commerce integration and consignment stock, but I suspect we'll run out of time by the end of NPD. So if you just give me a second, I'm just going to swap to the system. Okay, just for a little bit of a background there. I'm in Dynamics Nav at the moment now. So this is the latest version of Nav, and when you first log into Nav, you end up in a role center. And a role center basically is your dashboard for what you're going to be doing on a day-to-day basis. Everyone within the business will have a role within the business, and the role center you log into will provide all the information that you need to do for your day-to-day job at your screen or your fingertips. So instead of having to go and hunt for the data that you need to do your job, your role center will proactively bring it to your screen. So to give you an example, in the center of the screen here, you can see my activities area. You can see I've got 3 sales quotes outstanding, 13 sales orders, and 7 sales orders that are open, 5 that are delayed, etc. So instead of having to go hunting around the system to try and find out the information I have to do and the data I have to process, it will all be brought to my screen's attention. Okay. Now we're not going to concentrate on the role center today. We're actually going to go into a few of the key areas, but it is important to know that a single point within the system can give you all the information you need. And again, it's standard Microsoft look and feel, so anyone that's familiar with Office will be able to immediately relate to the screens. It's just like Microsoft Office and Outlook, a combination of the two. So first of all, let's talk about catch weight. So I'm just going to go into an item in our system, and I'm just going to find a particular item. So I'm going to go into this one here. So I'm just skipping forward there. I'm going to go back one screen there just for a second, just to give you an idea of how the screens work inside of Nav. So you've got a list view inside Nav. So it works pretty much like Excel. So anywhere where you're getting lists of information, the view inside of Nav is like an Excel screen. So you've got freeze panes on the screen, you can sort columns, you can move things around very quickly and easily. So finding data within Nav is really, really simple. You also have the ability to filter on the screen very quickly, so you can drop down a box, you can filter on pretty much anything that is within your system. Okay, at the click of a button. So again, what that does, first of all, it makes your data very quick and very easy to access, but it also makes reporting really simple. Because at any point, I can filter the data so it has a subset that I'm interested in at that point, and then I can very quickly and easily save that data away as my preferred view. That wasn't very good typing there, was it? View 1. And that will be in my memory on the right hand side of the screen. So my screen will very quickly rebuild itself. Nav will reload. And then on my items on the far left hand side, I now got a view. So those views that I just created there are all real time. On the right hand side of the screen then, we also have things like fact boxes that give you a quick and easy access view of other data in the system. So as I'm moving down between the different items, it can show you information such as how much stock you've got, how long your stock will last, locations, prices, etc. So whatever you need to have in the system can be available there. So that's as much as I'm going to just talk about there. So I'm just going to go back into my item now. So I'm going to find B1669, and I can search by item number, I can search by description, I can search by pretty much anything to find the items I want. I'm just going to go into this item now, and again you can see, again, standard look and feel. So once you know how to put an order on in Nav, you can put a quote on, you can put a purchase order on, you can put a production order on. Microsoft are very consistent in the interface, so once you know how to do one thing, you can pretty much use the whole system with very little extra training. So that's quite a nice feature, that. At the moment I've got a strip sirloin item on my screen, which is a catch weight item. So catch weight is a crucial one really that we use to determine whether standard nav with some tweaks versus foodware is acceptable. So anyone which has a catch weight requirement will immediately be required to use foodware, because standard nav doesn't support catch weight. But foodware has been enhanced specifically to have this extra functionality. And so you can see here from this strip loin, it's a catch weight item. I've got 965 units in stock with a total weight of 4,825. And the reason for that is that even though this is a catch weight item, we do record the average weight of this item in the system. So it says there an average weight of this item is 5 kilograms. So again, the system will allow you then to order in units or in weight. But then when you sell it, you will actually be selling in weight rather than, well, you can sell in units as well if you want to. So you can sell it as a unit each, or you could actually sell it in 5 kilograms or wherever the actual weight is. But when you actually ship those items, you do a final weigh of the item and you charge for the actual weight that you're shipping. So if a joint is 5.2 kilograms, you may charge 5.2 kilograms in weight. Or indeed, you may just say, well, we're going to charge for 5 kilograms and take the loss on the 0.2. But it's important to know how much giveaway you have. And by using the catch weight system, you can actually do that. Now, what you can also do within the system as part of this is you can actually use alternative units of measure. So I can order these items in pieces, you can see here. I can also order those items in alternative units of measure. So I can order them in kilograms, I can order them in pallets, I can order them in cases. As long as you have a direct relationship between how many go into a case and how many go into a pallet, you can then say, I want to order a pallet of these, and the system will automatically work out exactly how many units and potentially how much weight that should have. So catch weight is used extensively throughout the system, and all of the functionality around costing is also specifically honed, so it uses the catch weight functionality. So it works on a standard cost basis because the average weight is used for the costing purposes, but when you actually weigh the final product out or make the adjustments at the end for what you've actually shipped and charged, the system will automatically account for those for you. So I'm going to move on now from catch weight to traceability. Again, traceability is key to any food company. The ability to be able to do a trace within the BRC accepted at time scale of 4 hours is key. So with using Dynamics Nav, we can actually do it in a lot quicker. So I'm just going to go to item tracing, if I can remember where I'm going to go at the moment. Item, I'm going to go to the menu. Actually, it might be easier for me to do that. So bear with me, I'll click on the buttons. So inside our quality here, quality control, I'm going to go into the proper item area. Okay, so I'll completely move my menu around, so bear with me a second while I go and find it. Information lot numbers. There you go. Excuse me for a second while I've moved my screen around. The beauty of Nav is that you can actually move everything around, and I've obviously moved some around there. So anyway, back to this screen. So what I'm on at the moment is an item tracing screen that allows me to trace various bits of information within the system to let me work out what's going on within NAV. So the first thing I'm going to do for at this moment, I'm going to do a trace by a lot number. So I'm going to type in a lot number. So typically what would happen is one of your suppliers would come in with a package that they've taken off the shelf or got, and it'd either be the package itself or the wrapper or actually the finished product, and they'll give you the lot number from that, and they then expect you to trace forwards and backwards everywhere that product went and all the raw materials that went into that. So I'm just going to do the same sort of thing. So I'm just going to enter a lot number lot number 00028, and press enter. And what that will do then, that will pull up all the information about that. Now, obviously, you'd have more data in your systems when you got particular lot numbers, but that shows then that this was some tomato puree that came in from that customer. I can click on item tracing then and go into a little bit more information about that item. So it drills into that lot now, and it shows it came in on a purchase receipt on that day. Again, I can click on the purchase receipt then and see that that came in from AJ Food Supplies on that particular date in May, and all these other products also came in on that very same delivery. Okay, so you very quickly trace where it is. Now, what I can also do is I can do maybe a reverse trace. I'm going to just type in a finished good this time, and FG004. Okay, I'm going to trace that one. And this one's quite a big one. I've got quite a lot of functionality, or quite a lot of delivers and things on this one. So you can see there when that comes up on screen, you can see there's been lots and lots of shipments in for this particular item. You can see each shipment has a different quantity next to it. What I can also see is right at the bottom there, I've got the original ledger entry, and I can trace them from the opposite line. So I can go back from that original delivery of items that came in to all the times that that product has been used and consumed. And again, at any point, I can drill into any of those shipments to view the information inside there. Okay, so that the beauty of Nav is you can trace forwards and backwards within a couple of seconds. There is an overhead to traceability, which is every time you move an item, you have to say which lot you're moving. But if you use the mobile warehouse devices and barcode scanners, then that overhead does become a much, much lower impact upon the business. Okay, so I'm going to move off traceability now. Again, skipping forwards for time. I'm going to go into a key part of the system in here is quality. So not many ERP systems have integrated quality built in, but Foodware does. So 4 key areas: you've got non-conformances, product specifications, inspection statuses, and quality control. So first of all, what I'm going to do, I'm going to go into the quality control area of the system. I'm going to talk about how you can create a quality check. So at any point within the production process, goods in, dispatch, etc., you can create a quality check. So what you can do for a quality check is you can create different methods of what you're going to do for that check. So I've got a couple on screen here. So I've got a dehydration check, I've got a general check, I've got a colony forming check, metal detection. Each one of these checks is basically a series of tests that you do at a particular stage. So you can create methods, and then you can attach multiple methods to a check. So here I've just gone into the dehydration one, and what I'm going to do is check the weight before drying, weight after drying, then weigh a sample, and then it will have certain parameters as to whether it's acceptable. So you can see on the top of the screen there, we've got a formula that works out what is the calculation for that particular item. But all of these tests or these methods then get linked into a quality check. So if I go and have a look at a QC registration, so this is an actual inspection that I would do at some point inside the system. So this is an inbound good inspection, where what we're doing is when the goods arrive, we're going to test the temperature, which is one method. We're going to test the humidity, which is another method, and then we're going to test the cell formulation, which is a third method. So again, what that will do is prompt on a mobile device, normally a tablet device or something like that, for the quality people to go and inspect that batch of goods that's just arrived, because you do link it to a batch or a supplier, etc., and check for these parameters, and then the system will either pass or fail that item based upon the results of this check. Again, this is great part of the functionality because it's all linked into Nav. At any point as part of your batch traceability, you can go back into the results of these tests and see exactly what the results were, who did the test. You can also store microbiological information against there as well. So all in a single place, you can get all your tests there. Now, linking all this together is another important part of the quality. So if I go into something called inspection statuses, the ability to create these checks is quite important. So what we use to do these checks or create these checks, you have different inspection statuses for goods at different stages through goods in production, etc. So you see on screen at the moment, I've got a few different examples of inspections. So I've got a receipt inspection, and a receipt inspection will basically say, until this receipt inspection is done, I can take a sample, but I cannot use it for selling or sell those items. I cannot use it for calculating a production plan. I cannot use it for picking, or I cannot consume it. But as soon as I've done the inspection, then if it passes, the product would go to on-hand stock, which means it's approved stock, and I can do pretty much anything with it. Now, by creating a series of these statuses as the product comes through the factory, through production, through warehouse, etc., you can control exactly what happens to that product and when. And you can then link those methods that I showed you just to the various different inspections that you do. Okay, so what I'm also going to do now, I'm going to just show you product specifications. Again, another important part of the quality aspects of the system. So product inspections, product specifications allow you to keep information about your ingredients, raw materials, packaging, finished products, all within the system. So again, normally this is an off-system piece of functionality, but we can have it inside the system at the moment. So what I can do, I can go into maybe a raw material here. I can have a look at the raw material and how it's formulated. So you can see here we have general information about the raw material. We then have microbiological information, dietary information, organoleptics, shape, tracking, logistics, poultry information read. So lots and lots of various different bits of information that you can store about every part of a product. So if this is an ingredient you get from your suppliers, you can actually then have a look at the ingredients that go into that item, which also may have their own parameters. I was looking for the word then. Okay, or specifications. So you can see here how much of each one of the products goes in. Now, the beauty about using these different bits of information in the system for raw materials, for your finished goods, etc., is that any time any production order consumes these materials, they will automatically roll up all of the materials that go into it. So, for example, if one of your ingredients is using an allergen, it has nuts in it or anything, any time that ingredient is consumed as part of any part of the production, it will automatically roll that allergen all the way up to the top level. So at a top level item, you will know exactly what allergens have gone in, as well as anything else that's also on your specification list. So it's a really important thing, especially with all the controversy over allergens and stuff at the moment. It's important to be able to very quickly and easily see wherever an allergen has been used within the system. And you also have specific buttons there for allergens to see what's in there, nutritional value, etc., all within the system. So again, there's going to be lots of functioning I'm not going to be able to show you at the moment, but at least I'm trying to give you a little bit of a flavour to see whether the solution is right for you or not. Okay, and finally, just to give a bit of a view of how the system will view all that information. So an output of the product specification gives you a good example of that. So if I just show you one of the reports that comes out of the system, again, you can customise this to your own heart's content to whichever customer wants the information and how they want the information. But the kind of document that comes out of the system is a specification. You can have images on there. You can have any of the information you've captured within the specifications area of the system. And again, you can edit and change these documents very quickly and easily yourselves. So you may have a version which is Tesco's product specification, Sainsbury's, or any of your customers on there. Okay, one last area of quality before I move on is non-conformances. So again, built into the system, we have the ability to do customer non-conformances, vendor non-conformances, or internal non-conformances. So very important to be able to keep track of anything that goes slightly awry within your system against whatever batch you've used in that particular item. So again, I'm just going to show you a customer non-conformance. I'm going to go into this particular non-conformance and show you how this one works. So it links to a product or a batch or a shipment that you've done. It will then show you which item this particular non-conformance links to. So it will show you all the information there that's on the non-conformance, but then will allow you to then pick the product which has got the non-conformance from your supplier or your customer, and then create a series of corrective actions or tasks for people to do to actually make sure this problem doesn't happen again. You can create multiple templates for different kind of interactions. So if you have metal found in a product, you may have a series of actions for if metal's ever found, if plastic's ever found, if any non-organic matter's found inside the products, etc. So each type of interaction that you have, or non-conformance type, can have a series of different corrective actions for it that can then assign to different people. And going back to their role center, when they log in, you can have their tasks or activities on their role center, so you immediately know if you've got any corrective actions to look at. And again, you can track at any point who hasn't executed these corrective actions, and you can report on it and how many days they are overdue. Again, all being inside the system, linking to all the batch information that you're capturing, all the raw materials, all the shipments, a single point of contact for all the information in the system. Okay, so that is the quality areas. Again, I've very quickly covered those inside the system. What I want to do now is very quickly show you some of the ways we can do NPD within the product, new product development. So I'm going to go back to our items list. I'm going to call up FG001. Okay, so this is a ready meal. Here's one I created earlier. It's a ready meal. I think this is a chicken tikka masala or something like that. So what we can do is the system will allow you to track all of the interactions you have as part of an NPD process. So within the NPD process, there's two elements. One is the costing elements with the production capability and the capacity management, and the other is the actual business process and the project of actually introducing a new product. Now, we're not going to cover the project area of NPD at the moment. That's normally covered by Dynamics 365, which used to be Dynamics CRM. We have a particular flavor that we use for that. What I'm going to show you is how Nav handles the costing and the version control of any NPD that you may do. So as part of any product, you will have near the bottom is the replenishment, which tells you how, when you get some of this product lost, when you need some more of this product, how you get it. In this particular instance, I've linked this one to a bill of material. And I'm going to go into this bill of material and take a little bit of a look at it. So again, in foodware, one product can have multiple bills of material. You can have alternative products, you can have substitutions, all that kind of functionality is all available within there. So I've got a very simple bill of material at the moment, which has got a bit of chicken tikka masala sauce, some chicken breast, and then some packaging inside there. So it's a really simple bill of material. It can be multi-level bill of material. So the chicken tikka masala sauce, you may not buy that in, you may actually make it yourselves by having a production BOM or a sub-assembly to create that. And again, it depends on how you want to do that. But the key thing about NPD is I now have a status against every product and a live date. But what I can do then, I can go in and have a look at all the different versions. So as I'm going through an NPD process, changing the ingredients, may having 10 or 15 products launched and then ended up in one, I can keep track of all the variations of that product until we come to the final version that then is production ready. So you can see here, I've got a matrix that shows me all the different versions I've done. So version 1.1 had 0.3 units. I don't even know what that unit is. It might be weight of tikka masala sauce. And some chicken in there. But version 2 had a different tray, so we swapped the tray out on version 2, and on version 3 we had a little bit more sauce and a little bit less chicken inside there. Okay, so by creating version tracking, you can quickly and easily work out the costs, the raw material impact that any NPD process is going to have. Now, other elements of this, if I just go back to our raw material or our product, we also have the routing information. So the routing is how it will go through your factory. So there's two elements of this in foodware. One is the ability to have individual routes or production routes, as in traditional manufacturing. But foodware also has the ability to have production lines where you can link multiple work centers or multiple machines together so that when a production line starts, all of those machines are working at the same time. And again, NPD has the same ability, so as you're working out the optimum way of making a product, you can create different versions, and when you've got your versions, you can see exactly what you've changed between them. So I've got the original version of my product here, was this one, Okay, and then when I made a change to it as part of MPD, I may have put it onto a different machine which is slightly better to do it, or I may have added an extra process in there to fine tune it. But again, all of this information you're capturing here works towards the costing of your finished product. So it's a really important of MPD is there's no point making a product if you don't know how much it's going to cost so you can make a profit from it. So capturing the times, the setup times, the run times, cooling times, any machinery you need, any labour that's also required is really key. And by using the NPD process and the version control of this, you get a very quick view of what's gone into there. Okay, we do also have the ability to have production worksheets, and these are the kind of things that say, well, how do you actually make the sauce? Do you stand on one leg while turning it anti-clockwise 4 times and then add a pinch of salt? So you can also do version control of the actual production methods as well. I'm not going to go into that because we're going to run out of time very soon else. So that's version control and MPD. What I'm going to drop now is I'm going to just show you a few of the other nice features. I'm conscious of time. We've got around about 10 minutes long, 15, 20 minutes. So I'm going to show you a little bit more about this. So I'm going to go into an item. I'm going to go into 1, 2, 3, 7. Show you this one. Again, it's sorry for any companies that don't have anything to do with meat. Maybe this could be a salmon steak or I don't know, a different kind of fish or something else. But what we have on screen then is the ability to capture lots of other information that's really key inside the food and drinks industry. Pricing, promotion. So to give you an example of that. So if I go on to, see what prices I have on the system. So this particular item here can have multiple prices for multiple different customers. So when we're doing a pricing, we can do a pricing unique for a customer, a group of customers, or pricing linked to a campaign. So in this particular instance, this pricing here is linked to this customer only, and they get this sirloin steak as part of this promotion code for £29 each. It's quite expensive steak. If they're outside of that promotion zone time, which is the 1st of June to the 1st of September, then the price will then change to £31 for that steak. If they order a minimum of 20 of those items, it goes to £30. So we can create price breaks based upon customers, customer groups, etc. Whereas if you buy 10 of them, you get it at one price. If you buy 20 of them, you get a different price. So the more you buy, the different kind of pricing you get. So linked very closely to pricing is discounting. So if I just show you the same thing on discounts, it's pretty much the same principle really. You can have a discount against a customer group, all customers, or a campaign. So these two pricing and discounting matrices basically create a matrix in the background that allows you to have some very flexible pricing within the system. So again, I've got pricing here for this item, which is in weight, in kilograms when we sell it. If they buy a minimum of 3, actually this one's a nice interesting one. If they buy 3, they pay for only 2. So it's buy 1, get 1, buy 2, get 1 free sort of promotion there. Okay, and that works out there. But we can also do a discount if any customers buy this item, they can have it at a discounted of, I don't know, say 10% discount or 5% discount off the net price. Again, linked very closely to that is rebates. So the system has the ability to create, capture and manage rebates within there. So typically this is one of those exercises that's done in Excel because they're very hard to track, but you can create rebates against customers and against suppliers within the system. So in this particular instance, I've got a rebate against a customer, and every time this item is sold, the customer will accrue a 1% rebate. Okay, but it can be a volume-based rebate. So every time they buy over a certain amount, they get 1%. If they buy more than that certain amount, they get 2% or 3%. Now, the key thing about foodware is it will actually accrue all of these rebates for you. So when the finance team are actually managing the accruals at the end of every month or every year, depending on how often you do the accruals, it will actually manage all of those for you. So there's none of this actually getting Excel spreadsheet out, working how much the customers bought, how much they've returned, etc. The system will automatically manage it all for you. Okay, so that's some of the pricing that we have there. What I'm going to do now, I'm going to very quickly go to customers within the system and show you a few of the features we have around customers. So you can see when you're lazy, you just type in the menu option rather than actually going using the menu. So it's just a little bit quicker for people that are used to the system. So I'm going to go into this customer now and just show you a few of the features and functionality around that. So obviously when you capture information about customers, you've got lots of information that you can store against them. You can capture and drag and drop and attach documents to the system as well. On the right hand side of the screen, you've got the fact boxes that show various different bits of information, such as how many posted shipments we've had from that customer, how many invoices, and again, all of these hyperlinks on the right hand side will drill down into that information and later then print off the invoice, email it off again, etc. And then that's the beauty of Nav and what we're talking right at the top. Instead of having a disparate system or a disparate load of systems, you have one system, one version of the truth that can take you from anywhere to anywhere. So I can go at any point and from a shipment I've made all the way back to where the original materials that went into that shipment came from, and then also where all those materials also went. So going back to customers here, there's a few other bits of information I can see about customers. So I can go in and look at what is called call and shipment days. So if you're doing outbound telemarketing or indeed inbound, you have the ability to set up a task list for your guys on the phones to say, call this customer between 11 and 4 on a Monday, and you will deliver to them on a Tuesday. You can put notes in there to say, well, this customer usually gets in late on a Monday, so call them after 11. You can also put in when you create a call plan inside the system. So what this is basically doing is setting up a list of calls that you make to the customer, but it's also setting up the predefined date. So when a customer calls you and you put an order in, if they call you on a Monday, it will automatically assume straight away default to a Tuesday delivery, or call on a Tuesday, you may say, well, actually, if you call on a Tuesday, we do a special Saturday delivery. So it's pre-building all the functionality that you need within the system. On top of that, then, you also have a lot of functionality for helping you automate and speed up customer ordering. So if you don't have EDI with customers, you can do things like customer listings. So this is the ability to have unique products for a customer that the customer buys, or a predefined shopping list for that customer. So in this particular instance, this customer is predefined that these are the common items that they buy. You've also got on the right hand side here the minimum shelf life that customer expects on that item when you ship it. Again, if the system spots that you're trying to ship a lower shelf life than the customer expects, it will come up with an error and get you. The only way you can go past that is to do a manual override to say I need to ship this one, or maybe you can create a non-conformance with the customer and say, well, will you accept an 11-day shelf life on this particular product, and maybe give them an extra bit of discount. But you can predefine the list here. Now these lists can be manually created by you guys saying this is the list of the products for this customer. Or you can have the list that can be automatically created. Every time a customer buys a product, it can add to the list. Or you can say, whenever a customer buys a new product, it will prompt a thing to say, do you want to add this to the customer favorite items list? Again, it's all dependent on how you want to use the functionality within the system. But you can also put other functionality on there. So how does a customer want this item packed? How you actually do the shipments and stuff. So what this is trying to do is automate a lot of the questions that the warehouse may have, or the same questions that you get over and over again from customers when you get a relationship with them. Other kind of aspects, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to show you how some of that functionality works. So I'm going to go into, a sales order. I'm going to dismiss all my messages on screen. I'm going to go into a sales order here, and I'm going to show you how this works. So let's just go and edit the sales order here. So this is a sales order for a customer called Blakemore's. I'll create the sales order header by typing in the customer, and then I can click on the customer listings, and it will come up then with the favourite items that this customer has. Now, what you also have when you're actually in a sales order, because the system knows what your customers purchased in the past, it can actually prompt you with a list on the right hand side of the history of the purchase. Now, this is some demonstration data, so it's not been updated recently, but if this customer had purchased sirloin steaks over the last 14 weeks, it would appear here on the quantity they had. I can also show the history on the line, so I can view that on the line, and then when I view that, I can see to the right the purchase history and the pricing. If I have a volatile pricing, I can see what prices that customers pay for those items. But to place an order now, all I have to do is say, oh, one of those, two of those, and one of those. And then click OK. and the system will then pull those items through onto my sales order here, and then that sales order is ready for release. So I can just say release that order. So that's ready for shipment. So that's how you can do customer listings to automate and speed up the taking of orders within the system. Okay, so what I want to talk about now, there's some other functionality that we haven't got time to show you today, but what we also have as part of Nav is an integrated full warehouse management capability. So using our mobile devices, you can introduce barcodes to the business, you can do goods in, shipments, dispatch, movements, stock takes, all using mobile devices, all integrated fully into the system. You also have the ability to link Dynamics Nav to various different e-commerce solutions out there. One of the favourite ones that we have at the moment is a product called Zeina. So if you wanted to open up your system to B2B or even B2C people, business to business or business to consumer ordering, or even just the ability for your customers or suppliers to have a portal into your system to see what your stock levels are, etc., then you can plug in some e-commerce solutions to do that. And the beauty about Zeina is that it will integrate directly into your prices and your stock levels. So if customer places an order, it will know on the due date that they want that item whether it's available or not, and what the customer's actual pricing for that is. You can also print statements and invoices from the e-commerce solution as well. Now we haven't got time to show you those today, but I thought I'd give you a bit of an overview because that's one of the other disparate systems that's normally part of a lot of customers' infrastructure. So I wasn't going to show anything else at the moment, so just flicking back to our PowerPoint slides, I'll get Liam to just do a bit of an introduction to the company.
Yeah, very, very quickly. I think, thanks Darren, first of all, for the demo. I hope it's been of interest to everybody. We'll touch back a little bit later. But the other side to this is, as well as looking at the solution, it's who you go to market with, who do you want to partner with. I think most people on their list of what they would like to have a low risk solution with a vendor that's invests heavily, has a published roadmap, and then that's Microsoft. It integrates with the Office stack really tightly. I mean, even to the point where you can do a lot of the functionality for quoting and ordering within Outlook itself, and the information's coming straight through into your inbox rather than having to jump in and out of the different applications. You only get that because it's a Microsoft product. But the trouble with working with someone like Microsoft is they're never going to write a industry vertical for lots of different industries because they don't have that expertise, and so that's where we bring our expertise to the table. I think the combination of the two, a strong partner that knows the industry, and then the vendor with Microsoft that's writing that core product is a really good win-win solution for our end users. And as ourselves as a partner, there's about 115. I think that's gone up from Monday. I think we had a couple of new starters, so that could be 117 now. But we're a fairly large NAV partner in the UK. We turned over, it's got 9.5 million on 2017, but that was over 10 in 2018, from when we finished this year. We will be. We support over 24,000 end users across 300 organisations, and we've been going for 26 years. So we're a very credible partner with Microsoft. We're technically led, and our relationship with Microsoft is very strong. In terms of who we work with, these are some of our food customers. So these are all organisations that we work with in the food sector. There's some fairly recognisable names on there. So again, I think it gives a level of our credibility that we can work with these organisations and support them, and have done for many years in the majority of those now. I've been working in the food sector for around about a decade, and we're really proud of what we've delivered with these companies and how long they've stayed with us and continue to use the software. So that's really important to us. In terms of what we do when it's a foodware product, Darren alluded to that we have some that we can work with standard nav, where we've built some IP that sits there, such as the EDI and a few other bits and pieces. If you do need things like catch weight and some of the other functionality that Darren has showed, we partner with an organisation called SCOW, which are a published ISV. That's a partner that's certified by Microsoft that write this software. It's fully integrated to NAV. It's nothing that sits on the top or around the edges. It's fully integrated, all certified by Microsoft. They're a worldwide organisation, and they then make sure every time there's a new release of the software, we have the foodware version of that within X amount of months. And you can see the different sectors that they work in as well, fruit and veg, bread, and bakery, so on the slide. I won't list everything. And so again, from your point of view, there's another level behind us where you're getting that extra level of support if required, and the guarantees that that brings by having those guys writing particular functionality purely for the foodware industry. We've mentioned this product at NAV today. It's the Microsoft Dynamics Business Suite. I will clarify that on the 1st of October, so just over 2 weeks ago, Microsoft had their latest version of that come out, and it's been rebranded as Business Central. It's a new interface. The foodware product that we've shown you today, that's coming down the line. So I think by the end of the year we'll have something there that's running on Business Central from Scout. But obviously it's only 2 weeks out, so we're still absolutely fine working on NAV. But if you do hear of Business Central, that's the new name for NAV. Got a new interface and some nice features. Foodware is coming for that as well. So we'll be upgrading any new and existing customers to that product over the coming months. And I think from our point of view, I hope that what you've seen today has potentially addressed some of the issues you have in your business. It's been a real whistle-stop tour. We could go into a lot more detail. We spend many days with organisations for their specific needs. The team that we've got, we have a dedicated food team, so within that 120 people or 115 people that we have in the organisation, we have a group of those people that are dedicated just working on food projects, again continually updating their expertise and delivering solutions for the food industry. And so we have a massive commitment to working with food companies. Well, I think we were at a food show a couple of weeks ago, and it's great to meet more organisations that are looking for solutions that we believe we supply and offer good value, and beginning that digital transformation that many companies are looking for. So I think that leaves us about 5 minutes for any questions anybody may have. I think we've got the chat window open up on Skype, so if anybody does have any questions, if you want to fire them away, we'll do our best to answer them. This session has been recorded, so again we'll also make sure you have a link to the recording in case there's any areas you want to revisit. And I think again we probably can make the deck available if anybody wants that. Just drop us an email and we can supply that to you. But I'll open up for questions, and feel free to populate the chat window with anything you might want to know.
This is the point where no one asks any questions normally, so please feel free to ask any questions. We don't mind, honestly.
Any support for customer contracts?
Yep. So one question here from Peter. Any support for customer contracts? Yep. So we do have support for customer contracts, both in supplier contracts and customer contracts. We tend to refer to them as call-off orders, and they can be volume-based or time-based. So you can say, I want to buy 10,000 kilograms of salmon from you over the next 4 months, and because I'm going to commit to buying 10,000 kilograms, I will get it at £4 per kilogram. Outside of that contract, then it goes up to £6 per kilogram. Now, when the MRP is managing the requirements, it will actually link back to those contracts and do the call-off against those contracts. So your contract will constantly deplete or downgrade. Downgrade is probably the wrong word. As you do call-offs and deliveries against that customer until you've either fulfilled that contract or you create a new one. And you can have multiple contracts with the same customer as well for different products. Hopefully that answers your question. Anyone got any other questions? And incidentally, Peter, that also goes to supplier contracts as well. So if you're buying raw materials or products from your customers, the contracts also work on purchase contracts as well.
Just while anyone is thinking of anything else that they want to ask, I think the contact details that have gone out, if you do have any particular questions you have or something that crops up in the coming days or weeks that you'd like to maybe push back and say, having thought about it, does it do this or does it do that? Feel free to request that. The software is available on-premise or in the cloud. So we have the ability to have it on Microsoft's Azure platform, or a private cloud if you've got that requirement internally. But we still have a lot of organisations in the food industry that are having this on premise, so that's available. And also from a license point of view, Microsoft are moving more to a subscription model. So if you're using Office 365, that's the way software is going. So we can do that on a per user per month basis for the software. But we still, at this moment in time, have the ability to buy the software and then just have an annual maintenance fee that goes back to Microsoft for any updates. So we are having the option to license it in hopefully a way that's suitable or applicable for your organisation, whether you want that as a capital expenditure or an ongoing cost. We haven't covered reporting today, but there's a whole reporting suite around dashboarding and just dragging stuff out of the product in various ways. As it's been very high level, very whistle stops. If anybody wants any more detailed or a dedicated demo, please let us know, and we can get that arranged as well. I hope it's been of benefit. We'll leave the chat open for a little while, but if anybody needs to get off and get on with their day, I fully appreciate that. And finally, thank you for joining us. I hope it's been of use.
Thank you.